street, 919fm.com. Here's what's happening.
Good afternoon. I am Vanessa Thomas with the 12 o'clock news on the street, 919 FM, and online Facebook and YouTube. In the headlines, as wheat prices continue to rise, the National Flour Mill says it cannot produce flour at a loss. With less than 100 days until Christmas, business people predict slow sales will continue. Internationally, soaring fuel prices already being felt by Americans. And now the news in detail. Chairman of the National Flour Mills Limited, Nigel Romano, says the majority state-owned company continues to grapple with higher international price of wheat, the primary input into flour. He stated with the global higher prices of wheat and the higher cost of transporting that wheat from the country's main import markets in North America, it's becoming a challenge to keep prices down. Romano said since 2019, the National Flour Mill's raw material cost per metric ton of flour has increased by just under 30% and is expected to increase by another 5% in the fourth quarter of 2021. He noted that the company is trying to do everything it can and added that at this moment, the company is looking at all options. However, Romano warns that at some point in time, NFM has to look at other alternatives. Asked if he is warning the public to brace for higher flour prices, Romano said he is not warning the public about anything. What he is saying is that we have to look at all options, but at the end of the day, the National Flour Mill cannot be running an unprofitable operation. Romano said though the company is more concerned about the price of wheat next year because the cost does not seem to be settling down. He added that the company has taken a decision to hold the flour prices as long as is possible, but according to Mr. Romano, the company is looking at all options because these price increases are unprecedented. In other news, with less than 100 days until Christmas, business people are already predicting slow sales for a second consecutive year as the COVID-19 pandemic continues. President of the Shogunist Chamber of Commerce, Richie Sukai, says shipping delays and high freight costs have been disastrous for retailers. He stated that with COVID-19 and the sector being closed for so long and the issue with the supply chain both for food and retail, there will be some increase in shopping costs. Sukai gave a stark outlook that things are getting worse as we speak and made mention of the backlog of goods getting to distributors and retailers in the U.S. He warned shoppers that they may not see a variety of items as in years gone by, and if the stocks are there, the prices may be a lot higher because retailers have had to pay more for their goods. Sukai hopes that this is an opportunity for local producers and manufacturers to step up and produce more local content because it will help reduce the import of foreign goods and help to reduce the amount of foreign exchange that TNT spends. Sukai ended by saying the rise in prices customers will experience this shopping season is inevitable, yet he remains hopeful. Meanwhile, President of the Downtown Owners and Merchants Association, Gregory Booth, says while there are signs of economic activity, uncertainty among shoppers is still evident. He notes some reservations in shoppers regarding their budgets and noted that they are being cautious. Booth says it is impossible to predict any expectation for the Christmas season business because there is still tremendous uncertainty about the COVID situation in Trinidad and Tobago, which has created anxiety. Also, President of the Greater San Fernando Chamber of Commerce, Kiran Singh, said sales have been moving upward at a slow pace since the reopening of the economy. He said while he expects to see further increase in commercial activity leading up to Christmas, he does not anticipate that sales will return to pre-pandemic levels. In more news, the Ministry of Health is noting a steady increase in COVID-19 infections from October into November. It has labeled the increase a cause for concern and partly linked it to the spread of the Delta variant, which is establishing itself as the new dominant strain in TNT. Epidemiologist Dr. Avery Hines revealed that the cases in October were higher than the totals in the previous 3 months. At the ministry's COVID-19 update yesterday, Dr. Hines showed data that indicated steady increases in daily and weekly cases, approximately 10% week by week from October into November. It also showed that the number of positive COVID-19 samples compared to the total tested had increased by between 5 to 10%. Dr. Hines said the country could climb to a 40% positivity rate this week, but noted the ministry was still collecting data. Dr. Hines is urging individuals to be careful, get vaccinated, and to adhere to the public health guidelines. Finally, on the international scene, soaring fuel prices are already being felt by Americans across the U.S., and its energy secretary warns that it's only going to get worse. Here we have this ABC report to tell us more.
Tonight, the new warning that heating bills will soar this winter for millions of Americans.
It will be more expensive this year than last year.
Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm pointing to fuel shortages.
The oil and gas companies are not flipping the switch as quickly as the demand requires.
Federal energy officials predicting significant cost increases. Winter heating bills for homes using natural gas, almost half of the U.S., could be 30% higher this year, nearly 50% higher for those in the Midwest. For homeowners and business owners, the worry is intense.
I run a small business out of my house, and I also work full-time remote, so the cost of any bill going up is alarming.
Rising energy demand, supply chain problems, and a slightly colder winter forecast, all to blame. Drivers feeling the pinch as well, gas prices hitting their highest levels since 2014. The national average gas price of $3.42 per gallon, that's according to AAA, and that is 60% higher than where we were last year.
And that was the 4 o'clock news on the street, 919 FM, and online Facebook and YouTube. Recapping the headlines, as wheat prices continue to rise, the National Flour Mills says it cannot produce flour at a loss. With less than 100 days until Christmas, business people predict slow sales will continue. And internationally, soaring fuel prices already being felt by Americans. Do enjoy your afternoon and continue to be safe. Aisha Wells, the Queen of Talk, she's up next.